Hello everyone and welcome to The Drop. I'm Safia.
Hi, I'm Fatima.
And I'm Zarak.
Today we'll be talking about conspiracy theories. Many people understand it as an alternative reality to different events that are taking place. People now even claim that those in power claim that there is some rigging going on. What do you guys think?
So I do agree with you when you say that, they kind of generate from some kind of populism and also some kind of notion that, a certain community or the masses believe in.
Yeah.
And there's a form of distrust that is between them and an authority which is trying to, let's say, implement a policy, trying to come up with a narrative of sorts.
Definitely.
And because of this distrust and because of our maybe tendency to blame it on the other or on other powers that we can't rationalize, we tend to come up with
Definitely. So there are some stereotypes that do perpetuate when we come up with a conspiracy theory. What do you think, Zarak?
I would agree with her. I think it makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't exactly classify it as a product of populism, but I do feel that now conspiracy theories are being used as a tool for populist ideologies to kind of create that differentiation between us and the other.
Definitely.
So yeah, definitely. I think it's in play right now.
So even if we talk about Pakistan, we've seen that there has been a surge. For example, polio, right? Many people actually think that there is some state propaganda due to which they refuse to have their children vaccinated. Do you think there's a need for education there? What do you think might these people be thinking when they think about these notions of this anti-state narrative or whatever?
So I do believe that education does play a role, but let's take the example of polio, for instance. So polio right now, Pakistan, Nigeria and Afghanistan, these are the three countries that are still struggling or suffering from this polio endemic. And in our case, because these three are also they have their Muslim countries, and there's this sort of a narrative that is being initiated by some militant groups as well and some extremist groups as well, that the polio vaccine that includes the HIV virus, the polio vaccine
is almost ridiculous that they can come up with all the diseases out there to
exactly. And then there's also this notion that it's causing infertility.
Yeah.
Because I think where this is generating is, again, these are also the same countries where you have a lot of distrust. You don't have the best medical care facilities available, and the masses in general, their main question is that we can't even access basic medical care, we can't even access basic medicines. So why is this vaccine so readily available? Why is it for free?
Yeah.
So there must be some propaganda.
Yeah, I agree with you. What do you think, Zarak?
I couldn't agree more with her, but I think there's also an element of a transference of cultural values and ideologies from one generation to another. And I think that forms the basis of these ideas that are so deeply rooted within the population, that the reason why polio is still an endemic within Pakistan amongst the three remaining countries in the world. And I think that's the problem, and we need to tackle that with education, but also need to focus upon more informal methods in order to curb these cultural ideas that are present within our subconscious.
So one thing I think all three of us agree on is that there is this skepticism that the population has at large when it comes to the state and the facilities that they are providing, right? So it's very interesting that if you go on YouTube, Haqiqat TV is actually the second biggest YouTube channel that is watched in Pakistan. So what are your 2 cents on that?
I think again, like we mentioned, right, there is a surge of in conspiracy theories taking a very different picture as compared to before, right? And I think the advent of technology that we have in this day and age, and with the spread of social media, it's very easy to transform fictional information, making it so believable that it's very difficult to kind of differentiate between truth and fiction.
Definitely.
And that is why these ideas, channels like Haqiqat TV, gain so much traction within our society.
There's also this notion of confirmation bias, because the people, as humans, we always tend to tune into the channels that confirm our biases. So even Haqiqat TV has a following because there are people who have these kind of notions beforehand and they just want to tune into a media that confirms those biases for them. In any case, what might be the most interesting conspiracy theory that you've ever come across? One thing I can think of is that Trump actually claimed that Obama is not born in the US. So that was something that really was unsettling, to say the least. What about you guys?
So I'm not sure if this would qualify completely as a conspiracy theory because it's also a meme that's been running ever since Game of Thrones final season came along. So there's this meme which says that Game of Thrones wasn't this bad in the previous government's regime. So I think that also, originates from our idea of, comparing
definitely
political governments.
Definitely.
And, also, sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
go ahead,
cutting you.
please.
Also trying to, that's also something that conspiracy theories are embodying, where, you're combining two things that are completely unrelated. So,
Yeah.
Game of Thrones and the Pakistani government are not really
Definitely.
related.
Yeah.
I think one very far-fetched conspiracy theory that's been going around right now revolves around the oil rigging that took place at Kekra one site, right? And people actually believe that these Western companies like ExxonMobil, they planted certain machines within the core of in that area, and they've taken away all of that oil
Yeah.
all the way to the west. And that is the alarming thing, right? That how people have this weird sense of conviction in such ridiculous ideas, where even a certain semblance of common sense will point out the fact that it's a conspiracy theory at the end of the day.
So one thing we can all decipher is conspiracy theories are pretty prevalent. So how do you think we can counter it?
So I would say that education and obviously access to information is a very important way to counter conspiracy theories, but also access to the right kind of information, because you have a plethora of information going
Definitely.
around. You have WhatsApp messages being circulated where your parents tell you that you have to boycott this
Yeah.
company because it's being funded by this militant organization which is against so and so ideology. So I think the access to the right kind of information and trying to also maybe critically think if this can be introduced in
Definitely.
the education
System.
that is obviously going to be countering.
What do you think, Zarak?
I think the answer to this problem is to inculcate critical thinking within the masses, right? So whether that's through revamping the education system, whether that's us, the youth, kind of using our sphere of influence to inculcate the need for critical thinking, because at the end of the day, right, once we have the ability to critically analyze every piece of information that comes our way, then I think we collectively will be able to get out of this.
I completely agree with you guys. Thank you so much for being on, Rob.
Thank you
We'll
for having
catch you
us
guys
here.
next time.